Afternoon VHR, Cyan here. Just want to go ahead and say another video, right? Here we go. Tyrant Velhari. So what we're looking at here is a multi-stage fight. It has phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, directly based on the health at 70%, 40%, and then when the boss dies naturally from 0 to 20 to 0. Okay. Tanks, as far as your responsibility, have one tank the boss, the other tank the adds as they spawn in the phase, and perform a tank switch when the seal of decay debuff stacks too high on the tanks. Okay. Healers, during phase 1, you want to make sure you use your healing cooldowns when Infernal Tempest is being used. During phase 2, you want to use your healing cooldowns when raid members are struck with the Front of Corruption as it stacks up, mostly towards the end of the phase. During phase 3, use healing cooldowns towards the end of the phase when damage taken becomes insurmountable otherwise. Throughout the fight, out-heal the Touch of Harm, healing Absorb Shield. If its wearer is about to die, you can dispel it, and that'll allow the heal to jump to another target, and then you heal the rest of it at that point. DPS during phase 1, the Ancient Enforcer. It's a lower DPS priority than the boss, though it should still die around the phase to incidental damage. During phase 2 and phase 3, the Ancient Harbinger and Ancient Sovereign are the highest priorities, followed then by the boss. Highest DPS is important on Tyrant. Own debuffs can quickly run out of control if she stays in any phase for too long. So it's like a DPS race where you got to make sure that you're putting the right amount of damage into the target to get us into each one of the phases. For example, during phase 1, she has a damage increaser that is an aurora that she generates, and if you don't within, say for example, like a minute get into 70% and get into phase 2, the raid's gonna wipe, because we're just gonna expel so much energy, but we're not gonna be able to keep up to the total amount of damage going out. Now for everyone during phase 1, spread out in groups of 4 and 5 players. So what we did here, as you can see, for position 1, we're going to create just a general triangle formation with a couple, a healer in one spot, couple range, healer in one spot, couple range, tanks and melee, healer in a spot, and then doing a light spread. Make sure that you move out when you get Searing Blaze Void Zones. Move out of them as much as possible, but not not too much. Dodge the Enforcer's Onslaught Orb that floats around. Use a defensive cooldown if triggered by Annihilating Strike while other raid members move away. Now during phase 2, all players affected by Font of Corruption must stack together. Interrupt the Harbinger mending as much as possible and dispel the HOT it applies as you go through, and then spread back out 5 yards to avoid the splash damage from Corrupted Blast. Now as you can see, that's what I put up for position 2. From what I saw in several of the videos that I watched, and when I watch videos, I go for replays that are of guild execution. Now, that can be kind of tricky, because what you'll have is, for example, guilds have like 15 level 700s, and then they have like 2 680s that they're clearly gearing up, so that way, or alts or whatever, based on what they need for their dynamic to push through, for example, in a mythical content. So that can be a little distorted. So the ones that I look at are the ones with the execution that's relative to our item level, based on people doing what we do as far as our total damage, total healing, etc., and what we bring in. So what I saw was basically you form 2 groups, and then people adjust according to how the effects are going on during phase 2. And then you do a stack up to absorb, and then dispel properly as you need to after the Font of Corruption, and heal through it. Now for phase 3, you need to move out of the Soil Ground Void Zones that appear. So just think, it's just like when we were doing any fight where the ground-based DOT is put on the ground, and we have to make sure we avoid it, furnace, etc. So what we're going to do here is take her to the corner and then walk her around the perimeter as the zones come down, and everybody stays with it. In all the phases, at least 4 players must stack in the circle created by the Edict of Condemnation to split that damage. What we'll do is you'll have to look for it, and then when you see it, then that's why you stack up. And so that's why during phase 2 that stacking position is so strong. Now again, please take the time to read through all the mechanics and any additional videos that you can. If you have any comments, please post them below, and I'll see you in game. Have a blessed day.